Welcome to the Wise Take DFS podcast for Week 11 NFL. My name is Patio Joe, and I'm joined here tonight by my two regulars here on the Wise Take, Mr. Slim Gaede. You can follow him on Twitter at The Real Slim Gaede, and Matty Ice. You can follow him at Matt J. Stryber. What's going on, guys? How you doing tonight?
Doing good, man.
Yeah. Doing good. You guys, Matty's playing a little basketball. Did you play any basketball tonight, Jason?
I didn't tonight, man. I was too busy at work today, but, I got my shorts on ready to roll, so.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, short. Yeah, we just found out that our fearless leader, thank you for reminding me. We just found out that our fearless leader only wears shorts when he's, like, at the beach or, like, where he's wearing, like, board shorts. And that's just funny to me. To me, I'm always shorts like 99% of the time. I mean, I'm wearing jeans right now because it's a little bit cold here in LA. It's like 68, so we're kind of freezing a little bit. And so we wear the jeans a little bit at night. You know, you get that little cold front. And because it gets down to like 50, at like midnight, and we're really cold then. So, but I found out that CK doesn't wear shorts. Now, Matt, do you wear shorts, Matt?
I mean, I live in Florida, so I'm either wearing shorts or I'm not wearing anything.
Yeah, I wear sandals. Yeah. Yeah, I walk around with my dong out sometimes. And Jason, do you wear shorts?
Yeah, man, I wear jeans to work. I live in Kansas, so it's cold a lot here. I'm always in shorts, man. Come on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Big boy, I wear shorts.
Shorts and sandals most of the time. That's just how I do things. I don't know. First of all, if you're in the chat right now, there's only 6 of us, so thank you if you are in the chat. I appreciate it. So anyways, it's week 11 already, guys. I can't believe it. This season just flies by. As you guys know out there, tomorrow I'm going to get some news. I'm going to find out what the sexes of the babies that me and my wife are having. So we find that early in the morning. So hopefully for my sake, it's a boy and a girl, because my wife might kill me if we have 2 boys, because then we'll have 3 boys. So hooty hoo. Yeah. Hooty hoo. So anyways,
good luck,
first,
man.
Thank you. First look at this slate. Like we were just talking about it. Like I feel like there's a few games you can just cross off. Boom, boom. Don't like this. There's a couple teams on bye. We got, Tennessee and Pittsburgh tomorrow night, so that throws out all the Steelers, and then we got Atlanta and Seattle on Monday, so that throws out all the other. And then if you're playing DK, you don't have Dallas or Philly, so it's almost like concentrate to like maybe 3 or 4 games where people are going to go. Am I right about that, guys?
Yep.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, I agree. Anyways, another thing I was talking about was, maybe you guys can comment real quick on, is the variance now in football that we've been seeing. Comment a little bit on that, Jay.
Yeah, man. It's like before even just last year, you could say, well, man, I got to play this guy and I got to play this guy. Or, at least one guy every week that you have to play, and now you just don't really see that much. Personally, the guy for me was Zeke. I was playing him every week in cash games just because I know he's getting the ball. I know he's getting the touches. He's gone now, so I look at the board. I look at all these guys. I don't see any guy that I have to play right now. Like, who do you have to play? I don't know who that is for this week. Yeah, I mean, in wide receivers, it used to be like play Antonio Brown all the time whenever you can. Well, now what's he doing? Like, he has a huge game every now and then, but are you going to pay that much for him and take that kind of chance when you got guys for like $3K less putting up numbers every week? And we've been able to hit on a lot of those guys too. So, I mean, it just doesn't make much sense to do that. So, I don't know, Matty, what do you got?
Yeah, I mean, we were just talking about it before the show. I feel like you can feel more comfortable fading the chalk this year because there's no guarantee that the chalk is going to hit. I mean, last year, you pretty much knew that every single week David Johnson was going to get you 100 total yards no matter what. Bell was going to do the same thing. They were both good for at least 20 points, so you you really couldn't fade them because they always had that huge upside. This year, obviously, DJ isn't there. And then Zeke was also in the picture. He's gone. And Bell's either going to get 35 carries or 16 and not do much with it. This week we have what? We have Fournette. He's 9,300 on FanDuel. How many carries he have last week? 12?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And, how can you pay $9,300 for somebody that's you don't know what their workload's going to look like? There's just so much variance. Last week, Antonio Brown going against the Colts, probably the worst secondary in the league. Super chalky. You're thinking, how do I fade this guy? And then after the 1 o'clock games, you're like, God, I should have faded this guy. It's been frustrating this year for sure. But I think there is a way to get an edge by finding the under the radar plays. Like last week, I was all over Adam Thielen. It's too bad
we like Thielen.
My running back plays didn't really go too well, but he was 3.2% owned in most of my tournaments. So it's finding those sneaky guys like that, and that's what we do here.
Yeah, I think that also people in the industry in general, and maybe we're all at fault, is I think we try and make it into a numbers game, into like baseball, and I think that I don't know if football is a numbers game. I think it is, but it baseball X, Y, and Z leads you to a player. Football X, Y, and Z might lead you to that player, but then you still got so many other variables that are going to come that you don't even know if he's going to get the game script's going to go his way, or there might be a fumble or this and that. There's so many other variables that you can't account for that in baseball, the guy's going to get 3 at-bats against this pitcher or 2 at-bats against this pitcher. He's going to have that opportunity. So it's just it's time to just start thinking, hey guys, you can almost fade almost anybody. I mean, even this week we're going to talk about a guy at tight end where you're like, how could you fade him? But we're going to talk about maybe you can. I don't know if you can in cash. We'll get there. But let's start off with quarterbacks. Jason, I'm going to throw it to you first. Start off with quarterbacks. My question, I'm going to throw it to you, and this probably you're going to throw it. Is there anybody else that you're playing in cash that other than Tom Brady? And if there is, please tell me it is. And other quarterbacks you might be pivoting off to in GPPs.
Okay, so yeah, Brady's clearly the number one cash play. I don't think anybody's going to argue with that. I mean, Oakland's terrible. Your top implied points on the board here. The guy that I'm going to look at if I don't play Brady, if I need that extra money, I think it's going to be Alex Smith. The Giants don't care. They're not playing any defense. They got shredded by C.J. Beathard last week. The Chiefs, they're not the Chiefs that they were at the beginning of the year, and that's what worries me a little bit. I'm not sure exactly what they're doing with the weapons that they have. With Hunt, he's not getting the carries. It just looked kind of weird that last game against Dallas. I'm just not sure what Andy Reid's doing. I think he's trying to get a little bit too cute instead of just doing what works for them. But still, I mean, they're playing the Giants, man. So I feel pretty confident loading up on Chiefs and Alex Smith on FanDuel, $700 cheaper than Brady. So I do like his price point. As far as GPPs go, it's not awesome out there. I actually did like Bortles. I like Bortles a lot until we started talking about weather with the wind and everything. I did look at him a lot though because Cleveland's really good against the run, so that I think the Jags will have to pass to win that game. And obviously Bortles is cheap, and I think we do kind of love him under the radar a little bit here. Other than that, man, I just don't see a whole lot that I love here for quarterbacks. Is that just me? I don't know. You guys seeing the same thing?
Let's see. Maybe I think Matty might want to talk about somebody on his hat that I think is a great pivot off of Brady. Talk to me, Matty.
Yeah, I mean, I'm always going to be on him. I might be a little bit of a homer with him, but he's just been unreal this year. I still think there's tons of room for improvement with him, but I just think there's so many different guys that he can throw to, whether it's one of the 5 running backs that they utilize out of the backfield or Zach playing Burton. He's got 4 wide receivers that he could throw to. It's just he's got so many different weapons, and he has such a good rapport with all of them. And I mean, Dallas's defense is nothing to be scared of. The best way to attack him is over the middle, but if Brady's going to be super chalky, I think he's a great pivot for sure for just $100 more. It's crazy to see that he's the most expensive quarterback on the slate on FanDuel, but I mean, I think you got to play Brady in cash anytime Brady's sub 9,000. I think you kind of have to play him. So fade him with caution, but I think Wentz is a great pivot. I'm definitely going to have plenty of them.
Well, who else? Who else you like? Yeah.
The other guy I'm also looking at Carr on the other side of that game. So especially DK, he's only $6,400. So he's $1,000 cheaper than Brady. The Raiders don't really run the ball with much success these days. So their production is going to come through the air. They're probably going to be playing catch up the whole game. I think there's a chance that he could have a more productive game than Brady. So I'm looking to pair him with guys like with Jared Cook and Michael Crabtree. So
yeah, I totally agree with you on those two plays, Wentz and with Carr. I like the other side of that too. I think those are where you're going to go with quarterbacks. The thing about it is I think two things with Wentz is I want Tyron Smith to play because that means he's going to have a better game at your hands. And I think that you're going to have to – Sean Lee being out is going to hurt the Dallas defense. It's going to make them run the ball more. And that I don't know if that's going to hurt or not, but I know the Dallas defense can just absolutely get torn up and toasted if they don't have Sean Lee in the game. So I'm looking at that as a script that if Tyron Smith's in the game, then that means they're going to be passing more and they're going to be protecting more, and you're going to be having a better back and forth type of game. So that's just way I'm looking at it. Like you said, the other quarterbacks, Carr, Smith, that's about it. There's not really this week. There's not really much else you really want to go to. I just don't see anybody else that with the upside that you want besides somebody like Carr, because they're going to be going back and forth. We all know the Patriots defense can be thrown on. So yeah, I don't. I'm going over the list here. Quarterback again. There's nobody else that I guess people might throw flyers on other guys, but nothing that will. I've heard a little bit about Cousins this week, and I've heard a little bit about Breeze. Maybe just maybe the big blow up game is coming. If the Saints can ever get in a game where they have to score and keep scoring because the other team's scoring, we might actually get that Breeze game. But yeah, I like Alex Smith, and that's about it. There's nobody really else that's gonna really make me want to play them on Sunday. So let's move on to running backs. This week I think it goes with the whole theme of being able to fade anybody. I look at the guys up at the top, and I don't see anybody that I really, really like. Matty, tell me if you like anybody at the top, and then anybody else that you want to talk about first or after that.
The only guy that I'm going to consider at the top is Hunt at 8,600 on FanDuel, 8,000 on DK. I just think the Giants have given up all hope, and there's not really going to be much they can do. They're coming off a bye, right? The Chiefs are coming off a bye. Andy Reid's got one of the best records in the league coming off the bye. I don't see any way that the Chiefs don't control this game. My only fear is they've been reluctant to give him a big workload. So there's that going against him. But there's also the fact that I think everyone's going to be on Kelsey this week just because of how bad the Giants are against tight ends. And it just ties into what we were talking about before about how we can pretty much fade anyone. So if you're going to fade Kelsey, I think you kind of have to play Hunt, hoping that Hunt's the reason why Kelsey doesn't produce as well as everyone thinks he's going to produce. So I like him. And then the other guy, I might pay up for Kamara at 7,500. It sounds crazy, but I think people are going to see that price and just think, are you 7,500 for this guy? No way. But I still think that he can definitely hit value plus more at that price. And then the third guy that I'm looking at, or the third guy that I'll mention, is Doug Martin at 6,100 and only 4,500 on DK. The Dolphins are another team that pretty much has just given up. They're brutal. They're awful. Just living down here watching them, it's painful to watch them. I heard somebody make an analogy on TV the other day that basically just said they're 4-5, but they're basically like a 4-5 Niners team. The Niners would beat them. So I watched Jonathan Stewart gush off some big runs against them last week. Martin got 20 carries last week, so a big part of that was Evans didn't play, and we'll get to Evans in a minute. But I think at 4,500 on DK, if he's going to get a pretty decent workload, I think you got to consider him, right?
Yeah, it's funny. I actually like the other side of that game. I like Kenyon Drake. I think they're going to unleash Drake because the Tampa can get run on. He's 5,600 too. He's got a great price. We saw Damian Williams kind of just not take any. He had 21 yards. We saw Drake get the opportunities. He ran the ball, and he ran the ball well. He had that one big run, so he was probably the best thing to come out of that game. So I actually when I was first making a lineup, Drake was the guy who I went to, but I kind of like that with Doug Martin on the one side. On the other side, that's a good pivot or something I didn't think about. When it comes to other running backs, it's going to be hard finding a couple running backs this week that you really, really feel safe with. We can talk about Jay Ajayi. They heard that they're going to feature him more. We talked about Sean Lee being out, and you can run on Dallas when Sean Lee's out. But we just don't know. They might divvy it up between Ajayi, Smallwood. The fact is that he's 6,900 too, and I think that's just too expensive to not really know his role on FanDuel. If he was maybe 5,900, I could maybe get behind it. And then another guy, there's the other two guys maybe is LaShawn McCoy and Melvin Gordon. LaShawn McCoy, with Peter Dick, Peter Schmidt, Peter Schmizzle at quarterback now, they're going to try and run the ball because they're not going to be able to protect him. It's like this move was so bad, in my opinion, because they're facing a team where their strength is rushing the passer, and yet you don't have a mobile quarterback to get out of those blitzes, and now you're going to go in a rookie quarterback. I just think it's a bad recipe, and I think the Chargers should take advantage of him. And then Melvin Gordon, if we knew that he was his workload, I think he's a good GPP play. Melvin Gordon, I think, is a good play too, just because he's going to get the ball a lot. He did get 20 carries last week, even though Eckler closed out the game. So, Jason, what running backs do you like on this week?
Yeah, if you're talking about cash games, I like Hunt a lot on paper, but when I watch the Chiefs play, he's just not as involved as he was before. So I'm a little worried about that. I like Ingram and Kamara, but I mean they had, I believe it was like 23 consecutive running plays. Think about that.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's true.
I'm with you guys. I don't love anybody at the top here. So I think you just kind of go with your instincts on this one. Like, I don't know. Maybe I play both of them just because I don't like anybody. Yeah. If you would have played them both last week, you'd have killed everyone. So I don't expect that to happen again, but it could. I mean, they're 100% committed to this running game, and these guys are both awesome.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm thinking about that. It kind of sucks that game's Monday night, but I was all over Tevin Coleman, with the Devontae Freeman news that he's not going to play. Well, yeah, it's Monday night. Great. Mm-hmm. That helps everybody a whole lot. I did like Kenyon Drake. Mm-hmm. He looks pretty good at that price. Great GPP play. Another guy I'm looking at is Chris Thompson. for Washington. I believe Fat Rob is out. He's a little bit pricey, honestly.
He's probably gone for the year.
Yeah, so we got no Fat Rob. So you got P. Ryan still. I would expect Washington to be behind in this game. New Orleans can be run on. I expect Thompson to get a lot of snaps because I think they're going to be behind, so he should catch a lot of balls. And he's a little bit pricier than I thought at 6'8", but I do like him. I think he's going to be the guy in this game. I don't know if I can go there for cash, but I honestly looks like more GPP plays that I like than cash plays, which is a little scary.
Yeah, we have a question here, guys, since we're talking about running backs. From Memphis Chill, Duke Johnson in GPPs. I don't mind him. I've had him on my seasonal team all year. I don't feel like he has a huge ceiling. Like he gets like 12 points. He does great for me as a number 3 running back for my seasonal team. But I feel like his ceiling is just not there in GPPs. What do you guys think?
What's his price this week? He's got to be under 4K because he was 4,100 last week on DK. He's unplayable on
talking
FanDuel.
DK only play here, though.
Yeah. He's unplayable on FanDuel. What's his price? Memphis Chill.
I'm checking
What's
that out
price?
right now. I'm checking that out right now. Let's see here. If somebody else gets it, just nail it out. We'll get it in a second. Jason, while we're looking at it, talk about if you're only DKing it, right? If you did anything. He's 4,400. He went up.
He went up?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
There's no certainty at running back. So if you're playing in a giant GPP, I think you can consider it just because Kaiser's not going to be able to throw on those 2 corners on the outside. There's no way he's going to be able to throw on Boye and Ramsey.
Well, they can pivot to your boy Doug Martin for $100 more on DK.
That's true, also.
I mean,
you could if you're playing him in the flex spot, you could pay $100 down for Jamison Crowder at 4,300.
Yeah.
So
and he's in a good spot.
He's in a great spot. So.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
What about Jamal Williams or Green Bay?
I just don't like the matchup, maybe.
Yeah, that's kind of where I was like, I'm all over this guy, and then I see that they're playing the Ravens. I don't know.
I'm not really scared of the Ravens defense. I just don't. Mm-hmm. That was just I just crossed that one off immediately when I saw it.
So did I. Yeah. I was
38 total.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There's 4 games.
Rough. You can run on the Ravens, though. 40. They can be run on.
Yeah, you could definitely run on him. But I haven't seen anything from him. Like, I don't know. I don't even know if he's good. There was all the hype.
He's good either, but he got over 20 touches last game. So 21 touches. And I think he's the only guy they have now. I mean, if anybody can name the backup,
Aaron Ripkowski, the big
watch him
white man.
A touchdown or something. Watch him vulture a touchdown.
The big Lebowski.
Yeah. All right, guys. So I think we've talked a little bit about running backs. It's enough. Let's switch over to receivers. Receiver this week again. Because of the way that the schedule is, it's really hard to kind of like go to see where you really want to go. Up at the top, Michael Thomas is the highest ranked defender receiver this week at 8,600. I do know this. I do know Josh Norman plays the side of the field, so he's not going to shadow Thomas. So you can play him. I don't know how safe because he hasn't shown that great ceiling. So I think we could find some value somewhere else. I think Brandon Cooks is a good play on Sundays for GPP. I think there's not in Tyreek Hill. That's another really, really good play because I feel like he's going to go off. The one guy that I'm scared to go to because you just don't know how Mr. Blaine Gabbert's going to be is Fitzgerald at 6,900. We saw him last week be involved. He got like 20,000 targets in that Thursday night game. And you just got to think that that's the only person I'm going to throw to. But for cash, I'm just not feeling it. And it's weird. Like, Sterling Shepard again, I'm all about that, for cash. And it's finding some values. I'm not going to go with Robert Woods. I feel like Xavier Rhodes is going to be on him this week. Gaede, talk to me about some receivers you like for cash and then GPPs.
Yeah, the top guy on my board is Sterling Shepard.
Mm-hmm.
We got 13 targets against the Niners. They're coming from behind, but you expected that going into it. I think he was 5,700 last week on FanDuel, which was crazy. So he's up to 6.5 now, but still, it's the same spot. It's the same spot. They're going to be behind most likely. They're going to be throwing. Eli's throwing all over. He's got nowhere else to go with the ball. The Chiefs give up the most fantasy points to wide receivers. To me, this is the cash game lock at receiver.
Mm-hmm.
I started my lineup with him. I know that's where I'm going. I do like Tyreek Hill. If you look at his road narrative, his lowest point total on the road was last game at 14.3 FanDuel points. For whatever reasons, he sucks at home, blows up on the road. And you could see, what's the big play potential here for him against the Giants? 2 or 3 huge plays. I could definitely see that happening. You're going to have to pay for it, but I like him a lot. There's not, like you said, Joe, there's not a ton of guys that just jump off the page at you here.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of I like Mike Evans, but I don't like the QB, which I told you guys not to play him last week.
I wish I listened.
Mm-hmm.
So that's tough. I love that. I love the matchup for him. I just don't know if I can trust it in cash games. I was kind of liking Marquise Lee. He's been blowing up. He's up to 6.5 though, and he's going to be going against McCourty. And McCourty keeps doing his thing. He shut Marvin Jones out.
Actually, you know what? He didn't shadow him. He stayed on his side. Jones just had a bad game. They didn't throw him. Galladay was back and everything.
The Galladay thing being back was actually what scared me off of that altogether.
I faded Jones. We were on the tape later on. Let me ask you this. We have a question again from Mr. Memphis. He's talking about Crabtree, 7,500, too much on FanDuel. I don't think it's too much. He used to be a cash game lock last year.
At the same price.
Yeah, at that same price. So I like him this week better than Cooper, even though Cooper, I think, has a bigger ceiling. But what else? Matty, talk to me about some receivers you like.
I'll just give one that nobody's talked about yet. Devontae Parker. 6,200 on FanDuel, 6,500 on DK. Coming into the season, he had tons of hype, and then he got hurt. So he hasn't really had that big game, and I think people kind of just forgotten about him. But he's still getting the looks, and if there's anyone for him to go off against, it's that crappy Tampa Bay secondary. So I like him. And then, like I said before, this is a more of a DK only play. But Jamison Crowder at 4,300, 11 and 13 targets the last 2 games that he's played in. He's got a great matchup. I know the Saints D's been much better this year, but Cousins has been looking his way more than anyone lately. So you can definitely look to both of those guys. And then I agree with you guys on Shepard. I'm on Crabtree too. I think, especially DK, 5,900 on DK. That's a lock for me.
That's too low.
Yeah, that's really cheap.
Good correlation with Brady too, I think.
Yes, exactly.
Yep.
And then, obviously you could play Evans, but you could also fade him because Fitz is terrible. He's awful. I watched that game pulling single hairs out of my head because it was so frustrating. He's not a good quarterback. So as long as he's back there, you could fade him. I'm still going to play him just because, but Just because he's playing the Dolphins, and their secondary is way worse than the Jets. So,
yeah, I think Evans is good too. It's a weird week. I just think there's like in general, there's not the obvious plays. I think the most obvious play is in the tight end positions, to be honest with you. And it's funny because usually that's not the way, but I think this week is one of the weeks where you actually can pay up. Another receiver I'll talk about, I think that has a good matchup is Jarvis Landry. It's weird. We don't like these Dolphins, but they're kind of sticking out. I kind of like Landry. I kind of like Drake, because I think it's the Tampa Bay D is also a sieve. And we also know that Miami plays better at home. They're just one of those teams that just plays better at home. It's just the way that they are. I've 2 weeks ago against the Raiders, they played good. They played all right. It was good enough. And then last week they were terrible on the road. So I could see Cutler throwing a couple to Landry and getting involved, Parker too. And that being a decent game, believe it or not, under the radar game, maybe a little bit. Especially where you can find value, especially if you're paying up other places.
Last week everybody thought that that the Bucks Jets game could shoot out. So if you're thinking that could shoot out, why couldn't the Dolphins Bucks game shoot out? I mean, the NFL's been wacky this year.
So. That was the biggest level quarterbacking in that game.
Yeah. Okay, so Mr. Robert, talking about Howard, do we want Jordan Howard? Any love for Jordan Howard this week at home?
I mean, he's always a good GPP play at home.
Yeah.
But that's about it. I mean, I'm not going to touch him. I was all over him last week, and he let me down.
And then somebody says Mr. Benjamin with a passing QB in there. I'm not – he barely knows the offense.
Peter Schmidt? What the hell's
Peter Dick
name?
They probably have
Doucheface. Is that what it was?
Yeah,
I don't know.
He probably has as good of a rapport with Peter Schmidt than I do with Benjamin. So I'm not going there. But I mean, just because I said that, he's probably going to go for like 120 and 2 touchdowns. So.
Well, Casey Hayward will probably be on him a lot too.
He definitely will be on him.
So that's why I'm not really worried about that. So I would lay off Benjamin this week with Peterman.
Just play Chargers D.
Yeah, play the Chargers D. I will get there. Okay, so tight end position this week. To me, the guy that sticks out to everybody, I've been talking about it since last week, is I'm convinced he's going to go 4 for 43, is Travis Kelce. The Giants have been giving up a touchdown to every tight end all season. And how do you fade Travis Kelce? You know what I mean? Especially in cash. I got to play him. I don't think you can in cash. But in GBPs, I can think you can fade him because I think everybody's going to eat. And I don't know if he's going to get 3 or 4X that you might need because I think maybe Ertz can be a little bit more involved if you have a little bit more of a shootout and have maybe a higher ceiling. And then, of course, Gronk can always go off, be Gronk. So, Jason, tell me about what you think about tight ends this week.
Yeah, man, I agree with you in cash. I don't think the Giants are that bad. Andy Reid, like you talked about, Matty, with the bye week, he's the best coach in the league coming off the bye week. Mm-hmm. He's going to know exactly what he needs to do to put up points in this game. I mean, the Giants give up more passing yards than any team in the league in the middle of the field. And guess who has more receiving yards than any player in the league in the middle of the field? It's Kelce. I mean, if he was – the only thing we're talking about is that he's a tight end. If he was a wide receiver at 7,400, you'd lock him in your lineup, right?
Oh, yeah.
So it's the same thing. I mean, if you really love somebody that you want to pay down for, I guess you could do that, but not in cash. So that's just going to be a lock for me. I'm not even looking at anybody else. I mean, Ertz has a great matchup. Gronk has a great matchup. Of course, obviously, those are the guys at the very top of the list.
Ingram on the other side, too.
Yeah.
Yep. Absolutely.
So, yeah, where are you going to go? I mean, the top 4 guys have incredible matchups. So, I don't know, man. Just play Kelsey and don't worry about it. But definitely in GPPs, I'd find somebody to pay down for.
Yeah.
Matty? Yeah, so this is probably going to be very unpopular with a bunch of people, but Tyler Croft.
No, not at all.
$2,900. He had 1 catch for I think 4 yards last week. He was my season-long bye week pickup for Kelsey. I'm gonna go back to him this week in DFS. I want to actually play on DK. I want to play him and Kelsey. I think you could play both of them for $2,900 against Denver's defense, who funnels everything to tight ends. I think it's a really solid spot for him. And honestly, other than that, he's 5,300 on FanDuel, so you can go there too. But I still think it's tougher to fade Kelsey than it is to fade Evans. Evans, just like you were saying before, if he was a wide receiver and he was 7,500, there's no way you wouldn't play him. Evans is $300 more. He's a receiver, and we're like, yeah, you don't have to play him. But I think you kind of do have to play Kelsey the more that I think about it. But for $100 cheaper, Ingram's a great pivot. He'll still be popular, just not as popular. And then, don't forget about Ertz either.
Yeah.
Or Gronk. I mean, what? Who on Oakland can cover Gronk? So,
yeah, I agree. Yeah, tight end it's pretty straightforward to me. Let's see. We got on the defensive side this week. Also, Robert says Mercedes Lewis for the Jags. Yeah, I think so. If you want a flyer, I just don't think that he has a great his ceiling. I don't know if he has that 3 touchdown game ceiling like he had earlier in the year. So on defense this week, obviously, to me, the Jags up at the top to me seem to be the safest. Just like, especially for cash, but there's some teams that have opened up now because of the quarterback news and what have you. Obviously, the Chargers at 4,300, you gotta consider playing them. I also like the Saints at 4,500. They just keep on producing, and I can't see the Skins just their offense. Sometimes they don't know what they're going to be, and they can't run the ball. And apparently, you're supposed to be able to run the ball against the Saints, so. I don't know. I got a feeling that the Saints D could come up again big. And then the Texans with Blaine Gabbert and the Cardinals against Mr. Savage. So, Matty, any defenses I didn't say or any other ones you want to piggyback on? Or
the same exact things. I might be 100% Chargers D.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a nice price. I mean, what is it on DK? They're real cheap, I bet, too.
$3K.
Yeah, it's real cheap.
Against what's his name? Peter Schmidt? Come on.
Peter Dick.
Peterson?
Yeah.
What is it?
Yeah.
Peter
Schmidt.
Yeah, it's Peter Schmidt.
All right, Jay, what about you?
Yeah, man. FanDuel, you could play Philly. If you're playing this slate with Philly and Dallas, if Tyron Smith is out, Philly's going to be an awesome play there. But, yeah, I actually had all the same other ones. Arizona, New Orleans, who I was on last week, and Paulie looked at me like I was out of my damn mind when I said New Orleans last week. Yeah, I didn't have the balls to play him, though, but it's all right. Yeah, I'm on them again. Don't be scared of these guys, man. It's not the same old Saints. So, yeah, but I think in cash games, you just play the Chargers. Everybody's going to play them for cash. Don't think twice about it.
Eagles, yeah. I like the Eagles. I like the Chargers. I like the Jags, too. I mean, it can go up, and, yeah, Kaiser could get pick sixes and stuff. It's funny. I don't remember defenses getting close to 6,000 in FanDuel. They're 5,600. That's a lot.
That is a lot, man.
Probably don't remember defenses putting up 30 like 3 times this year, too. So.
Hey guys, we're gonna be getting out of here in a few minutes. So any questions you guys, we're gonna be signing off here in a minute. Just want to let you know, tomorrow night, me and Paulie D are gonna be recording a game by game analysis for Week 11, going each game, kind of telling us what we think is gonna happen and who are the good plays and stuff like that. So it's gonna be me and Paulie D. We're gonna be recording tomorrow. Hopefully, be up late tomorrow night, so you guys can look at it over the weekend. We have a good. Is T. Smith still out for the Cowboys? Right now, I think he's out. I am assuming that he's out. I'm also assuming that Sean Lee is out too. If both those guys are out, Eagles, man, oof.
Yeah, Sean Lee's out already.
Boy. Yeah, they're just going to destroy the Cowboys. They're in a bad spot. But yeah, I think that it's real simple. I think in some ways, Cash, start with Brady and go out there, and you got a couple good value plays to where you could pay up at tight end. Let's see, how about kicker? Okay, so kickers, I'm gonna go for in the dome. We got Lutz, 5,000. You can go with Butker. You can go with Gostkowski, Prater. There's a lot of options. I like the guy from Philly on Sunday night for a good hammer. I like having the Sunday night hammer.
That's kicker. What I was going to say.
Yeah. Anybody else want to throw in a kicker? Anybody like low level, like 4,500 or not? Nothing like that.
Maybe your boy. What? Who's your kicker?
Nick Novak.
Novak. I think he's at the bottom of the list.
Believe it or not, that's my wife's favorite player in the NFL. I don't know. Hey, she loves. I don't. She's just like, because the one year we started dating. Like, he was the kicker, and like he never missed it. And all the other kickers were like, Novak's the best. He never misses. I'm like, well, if you put him past 50, he won't.
That might be good for you though, because don't you get up in the morning and be like, dude, I look better than Novak?
I know it is.
Probably none of the other guys on the team, but the kicker, I got the kicker beat for sure.
Yeah, I know.
And I could probably kick his ass.
I still would want his salary. I'll tell you that much. So, anyways, guys, it looks like that's it tonight. I want to thank Matty and Jason for joining me tonight. It was a lot of fun hanging out. Thank everybody that's in the chat, Robert, Memphis, and all the other Jeff, all the other probably some White Steak staff members were probably in there too. So, guys, make sure you also check out the free YouTubes that we do every night for basketball. We got some classic stuff going on, classic battles talking about LeBron and Kobe, who's better in basketball and all that stuff and all that, whatever. It's basketball. So, but yeah, check it out if you like DFS basketball. Every night they're killing it. I'm telling you, they're killing it. And then you join up on Wise Take. $24.99 is the monthly. You get 7 days free. Check it out. You got the premium. Saturday, make sure you join us here Saturday at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for the Week 11 Wise stream. Would be me, it's Cash, and it's usually Paulie, and it will be probably Johnny if he gets his computer glitches fixed up. So anyways, guys, it was a lot of fun. Any last words?
Fly, Eagles, fly, right?
Fly, Eagles, fly, yeah.
Fly, Eagles, fly.
All right, guys. All right, guys. Well, listen, for Matty Ice and for the real Slim Gaede, I'm Patio Joe, and we are out.
Peace.
Yeah.